Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello creepy friends, welcome back to Slams and Bobs, and we have about 4 or so episodes left of Thunderbirds Argo. This is one of them. Saturday's episode was called Saturday's episode was called Designated Driver. Can you believe we've only got so many left? I can't quite believe it myself. I kind of had to wiki the series to learn a few things recently, and I was like, really? That's all I've got? That means we're going to have to start vintage reviews again soon. Gotta hear the cheers. I think the first one we're going to do is Attack of the Alligators, because I've had so many people asking me to do that. So that's going to be number 1, but let's get back to Designated Driver. So I'm first going to give kudos to the Humax box you see here for failing to record the first 20 seconds of the episode. The first thing I saw was Scott going into Thunderbird 1, and I'm sitting there going, what? I didn't have a clue what was going on. Had to use ITV Player, Hub, whatever, for the first few minutes. And it turns out that Scott has gone to Alan, who's sleeping on the floor, and has said, oh, we've got to go, there's a mission. And it turns out it's at Lady Penelope's house. Alan's being taught to drive. Which brings me to the first point I have to make. I would normally leave this till the end. If Alan's just learning to drive, that must put him at like 15 to 17 years old, right? Why is a teenager handling a bloody rocket? That hasn't been thought through. So for those who don't know, this is also the episode that the legendary Sylvia Anderson is in. Parker is teaching Alan to drive in a CGI edition of the original Fab 1, also called Fab 0, and they're wearing the hats. They're wearing the little Parker hats. So as Parker takes Alan out driving, Great Aunt Sylvia arrives, and she's a very inquisitive lady. Penelope's trying to play down the fact that she doesn't do much other than socialise. It's kind of the socialite life thing, and I don't understand it very much. Great Aunt Sylvia knows something's going on. And in between Parker leaving and them sitting there having a Psalm tea, there's 2 lovely robbers outside who decide they're going to ransack the place because Parker's gone. Okay, I thought there'd be more security around than that. So in they break through the windows. You'd think in 2060 there'd be some sort of neo-positronic laser thing stopping them from getting through the windows, but they're just normal glass, probably double, treble, quadruple glazing by that point in time. They're brilliantly common thugs, I have to say. They are the sort of thugs you would see in a standard episode. Less the guns. I feel if there's not so many restrictions in children's TV now, they would probably be there with a gun going, move, you broad, as they used to in the original, but we don't get that. But as they break through the window, something else more slightly freaky happened. Great Aunt Sylvia did the flip. Did you notice that? As Penelope and her get up and move, she does like a forward roll flip at her age in a dress. So Parker is alerted by a little red flashing light in Fab 0 and knows something's wrong, so he's trying to get back, but Alan can't drive, flips the car and breaks Parker's arm, which consequently they have to drive at about 2 miles an hour. So back at the manor, Great Aunt Sylvia and Penelope are just kind of chatting. Great Aunt Sylvia's being a bit silly. She seems to be shouting out all the secrets that she shouldn't be shouting out, but we're aware that this is probably part of a bigger plan. And then she finds this book that's a secret entrance to a secret place. And when Penelope is escorted in there by the 2 robbers, it turns out there's a big safe, and in the big safe is a teapot. Now, it took me a little while to actually work out the teapot. Not necessarily what it does, but what it was, and the fact that it's from the original. Parker and Alan arrive back at Crichton Wall Manor only to see Penelope and Great Aunt Sylvia being loaded into Fab 1, which is the new edition. I'm getting confused. And he gives chase, but unfortunately now he can't really drive because his arm's so bad, so Alan gets Fab 0 in the air. They both work out how to fly them, because initially they get stuck. Neither one can drive the cars properly, so they're just doing a whole circle around the front of Crichton Wall Manor. Eventually they both work out they can fly. Well, Alan manages to get to Fab 1 and get Great Aunt Sylvia out, who quite happily runs and jumps into Fab 1, but then the roof where Fab 1 is leaning on isn't really safe and it starts to slip, and Alan has to leg it back into Fab 0. And then Fab 0 runs out of petrol. Great Aunt Sylvia keeps telling Penelope to use the teapot. She's left the teapot in her hands and is constantly telling her, you need to use the teapot. So when eventually Penelope turns the little lid on the teapot, it creates a force field that enables both cars to land back down on the ground without anybody dying or anybody being in agony. And that's when Great Aunt Sylvia tells her she hasn't actually come for tea, she's come for tea, which is the teapot. Then she has to go, Alan has to drive her in the old-fashioned way, opening the door, the nod, and then he flies her to the station. Now, I don't think a lady called Lady Sylvia should be getting on a train. I thought she'd have some sort of, like, flash car, if not her own Fab One, but maybe not. And that was the episode. Nobody got hurt, the robbers were arrested, Parker broke his arm. I think that's the most injury we've actually seen all series. Initially when I watched this, I was sitting there really enjoying it, but I think now I've sat down and thought back, my opinions have kind of changed a little bit. This was written by David Baddiel and Skinner, if you don't know, because we're kind of big in 90s, 2000s. It was a very, very silly episode, and I think the attraction for me and probably a few other fans is the use of Fab Zero, the hats, the talk of Parker about Lady Sylvia, just the general use of old things that we recognise from the original series. From that aspect, it was made by a fan for fans. The reality is it's a very, very silly episode. Silly, and my main issue with it is, why would Alan need to learn to drive when he's got a rocket? That kind of doesn't make much sense. I did love the live set of Penelope's Crichton Ward Manor. I thought it was a really good looking set. I'm kind of flashing back to the original and I can see it does have similarities. I did feel that the inside is nothing like the original though, and I feel maybe that's too much of a departure. I kind of wanted to see more of the original elements. I mean, Thunderbird base, for example, yes, it's distinctly different, but there's still different hooks and links that make you recognise it. I think it's too much of a departure inside compared to outside. It did take me a little while to kind of fully... I knew it was Sylvia Anderson, but it did take me a while to kind of really notice the original Lady Penelope in her. Because obviously Sylvia was probably putting on a voice back in the Penelope days. Obviously now she's talking in her normal voice, so I've got to kind of adapt to that change. And I kind of didn't really recognise it at first. It was only a few times I had to sit there and close my eyes and actually listen that you can hear the tinge of it still in her voice. Obviously, no disrespect, love, she's a lot older now. So obviously as you get older, voices change. You know, boys' voices break. Mine has never got any higher or deeper. Mine just... They used to call me Bear's Breath when I was in infant school because I spoke so deep for a girl. But, you know, it is what it is, right? Great Aunt Sylvia did a flip. Still not over that, I'm sorry. Now, speaking as an abduction novelist from an abduction standpoint, this was pretty much a bit of an epic fail. Why would Sylvia and Penelope just go with these guys of their own accord? I mean, they've got no weapons, they're men, but that's not necessarily that threatening. As I said before, if this were the original series, you can see them holding the little space-age guns and going, move, you broad! As mentioned, restrictions and all that. They can't do that now, and it's a shame. It's a mighty, mighty shame, because I think that from, you know, if I wrote an abduction like this, and I think I mentioned a couple of episodes ago that mentally, I've kind of got my own Thunderbirds Argo episode written out. They did a competition for an old school fan like myself for writing an episode. Oh, I'd be head of the line. I probably wouldn't get picked because I don't win anything, but like I'd head the queue there. I'd head the blooming conga. I would make an abduction a lot better. Sorry, David Baddiel. I am getting big-headed there, but you've got to understand I have written about 20 abduction novels, so I kind of have an idea, I hope. Little point to make, when Alan and Parker are flipped in the car, how are those hats staying on their heads? Because they're like glued to their heads and they're upside down in the car like this. I'm thinking those hats would just fall off. I was having flashbacks to Matilda, when Matilda super glues her dad's hat to his head and they're going in the restaurant and they can't pull the hat off. Did they have super glue? Maybe they did, who knows. It's very late in the series, but I still find myself absolutely petrified for Scott Tracy's safety when he actually goes to enter Thunderbird 1 and he's just standing on that little platform. Like, they've thought it through and given him a safety bar for turning around, but there's no safety when he's standing on that platform about 5,000 feet up from the ground. And I'm just thinking, don't fall. I still can't get over that. It's still there in my head every time I'm like, just don't fall. It will be a silly death, but don't fall. And, you know, You know, the lounges when Thunderbird 1 launches are always blasted away from the pool area. Just ditch the lounges. Why would you bother putting them back? I wouldn't. Just a thought. And that was Designated Driver. It was silly. Very silly is my conclusion on this one. A very, very silly episode. But I do think that they should be using other writers maybe. But we're all friends, okay? We are here to enjoy Thunderbirds together. We find little nitty nitpicks and we have a laugh, but we never get mean. So please don't bring anything like that to this page if I can ask one request of you. And that was the end of Thunderbirds for this year. We only have a few leading into January, and then after that it's dead in the water for probably... I don't know. They said that Series 2 is going to lead from 16 to 17, 2000s I mean. So I don't know whether they're going to wait and start it maybe later, maybe August, June, July time, and then bleed it and maybe take a mid-series interval. I'm going to say do a mid-series break like they do Walking Dead, and then come back in like a 13-week break again. 26 episodes is a lot, and breaking it into 2 wasn't a bad idea. I would love to see a Christmas special next year. Just asking that now. And I haven't had John for several weeks, so you just need to give me more John. But, you know, I ask that every week. Thank you for being here, everyone, and wasting your time watching me babble on. If you would like to subscribe, please do. If you'd like to follow Instagram or Twitter, please do. I've gotten a lot better on Twitter recently, but Instagram seems to have been forgotten about. I'm very sorry about that. Have a lovely last of Christmas week. If you are going out for New Year's Eve, I am not, because I do not have enough friends. Don't cry for me, it's fine. There's a lot of crap going on there, but like, I don't get invited anywhere on New Year's Eve, so it's fine. I'm just gonna sit here, and I'm actually gonna turn my phone off, so I can't get any of the Happy New Year texts, because I don't like them. I really, really don't. I will wish all of you a Happy New Year on Twitter, and then I'll be done with it. Quite frankly, the New Year leaves me incredibly depressed. I don't like it at all. Sorry. I really, really don't. I love Christmas. And then on January the 1st, you look outside your window, there's all these lovely bright flashing Christmas lights, and you're thinking, what's the point? I think it's Christmas blues in a way. I think that's why I kind of get a bit depressed. Either way, I'm probably going to get myself a little takeaway and just sit here. I might put a couple of movies on and just enjoy my little self all alone, as usual, because I am a loner. I will see everyone again for another video. Bye-bye.